My brother's son smashed my birthday cake onto the floor and sneered, "Lick it up." I said nothing. That night, Mom texted, "We've decided to cut you off completely. Don't ever come back." My brother reacted with a like. I answered, "Taking my name off every loan tomorrow." By midnight, the family chat exploded, 53 missed calls. My own nephew, barely 5, stared me dead in the eyes and told me to eat my birthday cake off the dirty floor. But that wasn't the gut punch. That night, my mother dropped a text that ripped my world apart, and frankly, it set me free. "My name's Alex. I'm 33. I'm a long-haul truck driver, the kind who knows every greasy spoon diner off I-80 by the smell of its fryer. My bed is usually the sleeper cab of my rig, not a mattress in a house. I keep a thermos of black coffee, a paper atlas, and a tiny notebook for miles, fuel, and little reminders like call Tire Place in Omaha. In my family, I was the mover, the fixer, the guy with big shoulders. Sounds flattering, right? Until you realize it really just means mule. Mom always said I was born serious. Dad used to brag I could back a double trailer into a space the size of a shoebox. My little brother, Ethan, though, he was the complete opposite. Flashy, loud, allergic to anything remotely boring. He'd create chaos, then spin stories about it like they were epic adventures. Everyone would laugh. Mom, especially, would just beam, "That's our golden boy." Me, I was background noise. If a table needed carrying, I carried it. If a bill needed a name attached, it was always mine. This year, my birthday actually landed on a Saturday between runs. I had a 34-hour reset, a precious chunk of time. Mom, of course, insisted, "You can rest here, honey," which, in mom speak, meant I'd be driving an hour out to the suburbs instead of napping in my quiet sleeper. I didn't argue. I just went. I brought a store-bought cake because money was tight and Ethan naturally had forgotten his wallet. I also brought paper plates because I'm always the one who remembers the things everyone else forgets. Walking into the house, it smelled like lemon cleaner and roast chicken. The dining table was covered with a plastic tablecloth and balloons taped down like they were trying to escape. Ethan arrived late, sunglasses indoors, carrying absolutely nothing, already mid-story about networking at some bar. His son Max, who's 5, was tearing around in those dinosaur socks I bought him last Christmas. He still loves those socks. We did the song. I blew out the candles. I cut the slices. I handed out the plates. The last piece had my name, Alex, written in blue frosting. I held it out for Max, "Happy birthday, buddy." I said a little joke, a little indulgence. He looked at Ethan. His dad just smirked. Then Max took the plate in both hands. He turned it over like a pancake and just dropped the cake. Splatter. Frosting on the tile. On my boot. On the dog's ear. Max giggled. Ethan laughed harder. "Eat it off the ground." Max chirped, bright and proud, like he'd just nailed his lines in a play. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the mess. Mom gasped, then did that tiny, choked laugh she does when she's trying to avoid conflict. Dad grunted something that meant absolutely nothing. Ethan just shrugged. "Relax, he's joking." But it wasn't the cake. Not really. It was the permission. It was the look in Ethan's eyes, testing, daring. The same look I'd seen 100 times when he asked for a tiny favor that inevitably ballooned into a monthly payment. I grabbed a roll of paper towels, knelt down, and cleaned the floor. The dog tried to help. I wiped my boot. I stood up, rinsed my hands, and said, "It's fine." "See," Ethan told Max, "Uncle Alex doesn't mind." Everyone moved on. Chicken, potatoes, nothing. The conversation drifted, but inside my head, something clicked, like a ratchet tightening one notch closer. When I put my jacket on to leave, Max waved. "Bye, Uncle." His eyes were huge, suddenly earnest. "Sorry," he added, "he's 5. He only repeats what he hears." "It's fine," I said again, but the word tasted like metal in my mouth. I drove back to the city with sugar drying on my boot. I parked the rig at the yard, climbed into the cab, and sat on the edge of the bunk. I looked at my hands. Steady. The cab was quiet. It smelled like diesel, old coffee, and the pine tree air freshener I keep because it reminds me of the only place I ever truly rested as a kid. The truck with Dad, engine ticking, windows cracked. That night, after I showered at the terminal and microwaved noodles in the lounge, I had no idea that Mom was about to send a text so formal. It sounded like an HR memo. I had no idea Ethan would tap a little red heart next to it like a stamp of approval. I had no idea my reply would light up our family group chat like a blown transformer. All I knew was the floor was clean, and I was utterly, completely tired of being the mop. People always want the ending. They want the screenshot, the big line, the explosion. But it's never just one explosion, is it? It's years of small leaks. I started driving at 21. Local runs at first. By 25, I was doing long hauls. Just me. A sleeper cab, miles clicking away like a metronome. The money isn't movie money, but it's steady. You get good at making numbers line up. Fuel, per diem, motels sometimes, repairs, tires. Grown-up stuff. Boring stuff. My favorite kind of stuff. Ethan, though, he hated boring. He bounced between projects. A smoothie truck, a t-shirt brand, a crypto thing that ate his rent money. Mom called them ventures. Dad called them rough patches. I called them my problem. The minute anyone said, "Your credit is better." First, it was his car. No down payment. Bad history. The dealer needed a co-signer. Mom called me while I was outside a warehouse in Des Moines at 6 a.m. "Just sign, honey," she said. "He'll pay." I was 26, half asleep, standing in a neon vest, clutching a styrofoam cup. I signed. Ethan missed the second payment. The bank called me. I paid it, so my credit wouldn't get hit. Then it was a business card, just for gas and supplies. "I'll manage it." Ethan promised. He didn't. Late fees stacked up like pallets. I didn't even see the statements until they were read and loud. Mom cried. "We'll make it right." Nothing ever got made right. I called, tried to get my name removed. Couldn't. It was a joint account. I closed it to new charges and started paying it down, while he kept saying he was between deposits. Then Dad's knee went bad. The hospital needed a deposit. Time sensitive. I don't regret that one. I wired the cash. Dad cried, "You saved me, son." But years later, if I ever brought up any debt, someone would always say, "After everything we did for you," and I wanted to ask what everything was besides groceries and school and yelling at me to mow the lawn. By 30, my name was welded to 3 things. Ethan's car loan, refinanced once to lower his payment, that I still ended up covering. A store card he opened in my face because they had a deal. He charged a TV for the living room. "We'll both use it," he said, "for Mom's house, where I didn't even live." And a line of credit for inventory when the t-shirts were about to pop. The shirts never popped. The line did. Meanwhile, I drove. Nights, storms, mountain grades. I learned to nap in parking lots between reefer alarms. I learned which truck stops had decent showers and which ones smelled like wet socks. I skipped birthdays and holidays because freight doesn't care about holidays. And when I did show up, I brought meat from a good butcher and a cake. I fixed Mom's squeaky door. I changed a bulb. And I let Ethan talk right over me. We replayed the same scene. Every time I provide, he performs. Mom beams at his brightness. Every ask came with a pretty bow. It's just temporary. You're the only one we trust. You know we do it for you. The bow only ever came off when I said no. And I didn't say no often. Whenever I tried, Mom would put a hand on her chest like the very idea had broken a rib. "Family helps family," she'd say, which always meant me pushing the cart uphill while Ethan skated behind, hanging onto the handle. The year before the cake, Ethan's smoothie truck 2.0 needed a permit. He forgot a fee. Late penalties hit. He called at 10:08 a.m. while I was parked outside a warehouse in Bakersfield, the reefer purring, a clock ticking toward my hours of service limit. "Bro, I need $1,200 by morning or they cancel the spot. I'll pay you Friday. I don't have service Friday, I said, my voice flat. I'm in Wyoming. Just put it on the card. I'll handle it. The card was joint. There was no "I'll handle it." There was just me hearing the future in his voice. I sent it. Friday came and went. The next Friday came and went. The penalty showed up anyway, because he'd already been late before he called me. Max was born during that mess. I held him in the hospital while Ethan made a video for Instagram. "Welcome to the world, little king." He panned the camera to me and said, "This is the guy who will teach you to change a tire." I smiled and kept it in. I wanted to say, "This is the guy who pays for the tires you pop." As Max grew, so did Ethan's bills. He loved gear. New stroller, top of the line. Then a gaming chair. Then a phone for business. He'd slip and say, "Put it on our card." Like my name wasn't welded to his every impulse. I'd protest. He'd sulk. Mom would call. "Please, Alex, your brother is trying. You know how he is." Oh, I knew exactly how he is. And he knew how he is, too. He's a man who treats trying like currency and expects change back. There were small humiliations. Ethan joking at dinner about Alex and his little spreadsheets. Mom giggling. He likes to keep lists. The time Ethan borrowed my GPS because phone signals are for peasants and returned it sticky with soda. The time he used my fuel card at a gas station because I left my wallet, which triggered a fraud alert during a run and had me on the phone with dispatch at 3 a.m. explaining why my fuel showed up in a town I wasn't even in. I started writing down every ask, with dates. April 4th, $250 for permit late fee. May 19th, for $180, inventory emergency. June 2nd, $90. Can't get Max's meds till Friday. I sent that one, no questions asked. June 30th, $310. I'll Venmo you tonight. He didn't. Numbers don't have feelings, but mine started to carry emotions, like bricks. On the road, you learn to pay attention to small signs. A vibration before a blowout. A smell before a belt snaps. Family has signs, too. Little things that tell you a breakdown is near. The cake wasn't a breakdown. It was a siren test. We all heard it, and we all kept eating chicken like nothing was burning. That night, parked at the yard, my phone buzzed at 9:47 p.m. Mom's text landed like a formal memo. "We've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever." No context, no preface, just a verdict. I could practically see the fingerprints on it. Ethan writes in drama. Mom copies his voice. A second later, Ethan liked the message. A little red heart next to forever. Cute. I typed a reply and erased it. Typed another, erased. I paced in the dim lounge, next to a popcorn machine that never works. The words that finally settled weren't a threat. They were a plan I'd been building quietly for months, too scared to say out loud. Removing my name from every loan tomorrow. I sent it. I set my phone face down. I made instant coffee. I didn't turn the phone over when it started buzzing. I watched the clock tick toward midnight while the screen lit up like a beacon I refused to see. At 12:54 a.m., Curiosity won. I flipped it. The group chat was on fire. 53 missed calls. The same numbers over and over. Answer from Mom. "What does that mean?" From Dad. "Ethan, you can't." "Then you won't." "Then you better not." Then a voice memo. I didn't listen to it. I put the phone back down. The cab hummed. I pulled the curtain, and I slept like someone had quietly moved a pallet off my chest. Banks smell like paper and tired coffee. I walked in at 8:59 a.m. with my folder. I'd built it on breaks at truck stops. Printouts, contract numbers, policies I'd read. While waiting, I asked for a specialist. A woman named Carla sat me down. "How can I help?" she asked. "I need to start removals wherever policy allows," I said. Co-signer, guarantor, joint. I know the rules. I'm here to follow them. She nodded. We'll go one by one. We did the car loan. I could request removal, but Ethan would have to qualify for a loan or find a substitute cosigner. The line of credit? I could revoke my guarantee with written notice, which would trigger a review and freeze increases. The joint store card? I could close it to new charges and set a payoff plan. I initialed. I signed. Carla stamped. Every stamp sounded like a door latch clicking shut. My phone vibrated nonstop. I let it. Carla slid me copies. You're doing the right thing, she said, her voice like an old bridge that's seen 100 floods. I left the bank and drove straight to my parents' house because I knew the show would be there. I parked on the street. Mom's car, Dad's truck, Ethan's hatchback with a parking ticket under the wiper. Mom opened the door before I even knocked. Inside, in the living room, the TV was off for once. Dad sat clenched. Ethan paced, phone in his hand like a weapon. Explain yourself, Mom said. I followed policy, I replied, my voice calm. I'm removing myself from situations I never should have been in. Ethan laughed, a brittle sound. Over a cake? You're soft. This isn't about cake, I said, looking him dead in the eye. And I'm not soft. I'm done. Dad tried to be reasonable. Son, be practical. If you step away, your brother's credit is his, I finished, like mine is mine. Mom's eyes sharpened. We raised you better than this. You raised me to work, I said. I do. You raised me to fix. I did. You just turned that into my job title. Ethan pointed at me. You loved it, being the hero. No, I said, shaking my head. I love quiet. Helping was the only way to get some. He stepped closer, his face tight. Undo it. No. He tried the line that used to hook me every single time. Max will suffer. I looked at him. Your son will learn from what you do, not from what I pay. Silence stretched, thick and heavy. You could hear the clock ticking, the refrigerator humming, a car passing outside. Mom went for the jugular. If you walk away, don't come back. I took a breath. My voice stayed flat, steady, the way I get when I'm backing a trailer in the rain. You told me last night to stay away forever. That was emotion, she snapped. You knew what I meant. I know what you wrote, I said, and I believed you. Ethan held out his phone like a mirror. You think anyone's gonna clap for you. Wow, Alex said no for once. You'll come crawling back when you need us. I don't need your approval, I said. I need my name back. I felt the moment arrive, like when the road finally levels after a long climb. I looked at each of them. My hands were loose at my sides. My voice didn't rise. This isn't about revenge, I said. This is about closure. Ethan blinked. Mom frowned. Dad's jaw moved, like he was chewing a word. Closure means no more co-signing, no more emergency transfers, no more joint anything. If you try to add me to something, I'll dispute it. If a company calls, I'll refer them to you. If you text me at 1 a.m. about a bill, due at 8 o'clock, I won't answer. That's the whole policy. You're heartless, Mom said, her voice like a stamp. I'm tired, I said, and done. I turned to leave. If you walk out that door, she called after me, don't expect to be welcome back. I paused, not for drama, just to put on my boots. You told me to stay away forever, I said calm. I'm finally listening. The first week was paperwork and quiet. I changed passwords. I pulled my credit report and circled the bruises like a mechanic marking dents. I made calls on my 30-minute breaks. I faxed forms at truck stops that still have fax machines. I learned which hold music is the worst. Store card by mile. I kept driving. Freight doesn't pause for feelings. Mom's texts came in waves. Day 1, you're making a mistake. Day 2, we can fix this if you apologize. Day 3, Max cried for you. Day 4, a photo of Max, holding a crayon drawing. He'd drawn a truck. The caption, he says it's yours. Day 5, call me now. Day 6, your father isn't sleeping. Day 7, silence. Ethan alternated between threats and jokes. Bank says you can't, bro. Be real. Okay, serious. Call me. Max asked why you hate him. You owe us. LOL. You'll fold. He sent a voice memo at 2:11 a.m. I was on I-7. Rain slapping the wipers. I didn't play it. I pictured his tone anyway. Smug. Then wounded. Then smug again. Dad called from a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail while fueling at a Love's. His voice was rough. Alex, I don't know what to say. Your mother is, well, I get it more than you think. Just don't let it go so far you can't come back. He hung up like the phone burned him. Work felt different. My cab felt bigger. I cleaned the dash with a little pack of wipes. I made my bed in the sleeper, tight corners. I started eating better because the churn in my stomach finally stopped. Eggs and toasted sunrise. A salad in Nebraska that didn't taste like punishment. I slept more than 5 hours at a time. My logbook looked normal instead of chaotic. On a reset in Cheyenne, I sat at a truck stop counter with a plate of meatloaf and a waitress who called everyone honey. An old guy with a faded cap asked what I drove. We talked gear ratios and mountain passes. It felt human, in a way my family talks hadn't felt in years. No angle, no ask. Midweek, Carla from the bank called. Update, she said. Joint store account is closed to new charges. Here's your payoff plan. Line of credit guarantee revoked. There will be a review. Car loan. 30 days for the primary to qualify for a loan or find a cosigner. Thank you, I said. And I meant it, a real thanks. Not the kind I give when someone hands me a problem. That night, Mom sent a paragraph about wolves and packs. You don't leave family in the snow, she wrote. I typed, deleted, typed again. I landed on the plainest sentence I could live with. Love doesn't require debt. I won't carry yours. Send. There was a new silence after that, the kind where you hear your own life. I filled it with simple things. A call to my dispatcher to take one less weekend run. A trip to a hardware store to buy a decent lock for my apartment door because I finally planned to actually be there. A cheap gym membership with showers I liked. Ethan showed up at my place once. He buzzed until a neighbor let him in. He knocked like the building owed him. I opened the door, but left the chain on. Open up, he said. We can talk like this, I said. He smirked. You think a chain stops family? It stops you. He rolled his eyes. Car's up in 2 weeks. They'll repo it. You'll ruin me over pride. Get a cheaper car, I said. Take the bus. Work near home. I have a son, he said like it was a trump card. So did Dad, I said. He still worked. And he didn't add Grandpa to his cards. His face twitched. He went for pity. Just co-sign one last time. No. Say it nicer, he said, half laughing. I won't, I said, and I won't explain it again. He leaned in close to the chain. You'll regret this. I didn't flinch. Better than living as a wallet, I said. He laughed without humor, called me something small, and left. His footsteps on the stairs sounded like a kid sneaking out. 2 days later, Dad texted, Proud of you. Don't tell your mother I said that. I stared at it a long time. I wrote thanks. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji. It was tiny, but it was something true in a house where truth is usually edited for feelings. The notices started hitting Ethan. He forwarded screenshots to me with, Fix this. I didn't reply. He tried one more trick, a photo of Max holding a paper that said, I miss you. I stared at it until my eyes went hot. I put my phone down. I said out loud in the cab, I miss you too, buddy. Then I said the sentence that kept me steady. Your dad can fix this. Not me. On my next reset, I drove to a lake and sat on a bench. No headphones, no alerts, just ducks and the weird peace of a Saturday without urgent in it. I wrote a new list in my pocket notebook. Tires next quarter. Dental check. A day trip with no miles. Normal, quiet things. The group chat finally slowed. A cousin asked, "What happened?" Mom replied he abandoned us. Ethan liked it. Of course he did. I looked at the word abandoned and realized it used to scare me. Now it felt like an empty box. I don't live in boxes, Ethan labels anymore. I live in a cab with my name on the door and an apartment with a lock that clicks. A month later, the car loan deadline hit. Ethan texted. They said no. One last chance, please. I typed, erased. I wrote, I believe you can figure it out. Not sarcasm. A handoff. Responsibility has to be carried by the person it belongs to. He sent a skull emoji. Then nothing. Mom sends articles now. Sons who forgive. Prodigals, links with captions like, "A good man doesn't keep score." I don't click. Dad sends 2-word check-ins. You good? I reply, good. He answers, okay. It's not a Hallmark card. It's clean. I haven't seen Max. That part hurts. I bought him a pack of dinosaur socks on impulse and stuck them in a drawer. I won't mail them with a note Ethan can twist. I'm saving them for the day Max is old enough to hear a plain version. Maybe at a park. Maybe in the back booth of a diner off the highway. Me with a coffee, him with a milkshake. I'll say, "Your dad and I grew up in a house where help meant you handle my consequences." I stopped. I never stopped loving you. I used to think closure was a big speech and a door slam. For me, it looked like forms, stamps, and a week of saying no in ways that finally counted. It looked like not answering at 1 a.m. It looked like taking a walk by a lake and learning how silence sounds when it's not a punishment. I still drive. I still back into tight docks in the rain. I still wave at kids who pump their arms from back seats for a horn blast. I give it to them long and happy. I still keep a notebook of miles and fuel, but I added a page to the back with a different kind of ledger on it. I wrote, "My money is mine. My name is mine. My time is mine." No is a full sentence. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I read it at truck stops sometimes. Not because I forget, but because the old script still whispers, "Be useful or be nothing." That script gave me knots in my shoulders and a credit score that lived in fear. The new script is simple, be honest. Pay your own bills. Let other people pay theirs. If my mother ever says, "We miss you," I'll listen. If she says, "We're ready to stop using you," I'll show up at the kitchen table with coffee and no bitterness. Boundaries aren't a wall. They're a door with a lock and rules. People are welcome when they knock and wipe their feet. This isn't a revenge story. Nobody went to jail. Nobody went viral. It's the story of a truck driver who finally parked the load that wasn't his. It's about choosing clean floors over sticky jokes. It's about looking at a 5-year-old parrot a line and deciding the echo stops with me. My name is Alex. I'm 33. I drive a rig with my name on the manifest and my hands on the wheel. My phone is quieter. My sleep is longer. My boot is clean. And when someone tosses my piece of cake on the floor, I don't eat it. I go by my own cake. I sit in my cab and I enjoy it with black coffee while the sun comes up over a calm, empty highway. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family to save yourself? Tell me what you think. I really want to know.